Hello, viewers, and thanks for joining us for another episode of The Chase Files. This week, joining us is Miss Tyra Trotman. Tyra Trotman is an attorney at law, youth advocate, community organizer, and an emerging political leader whose work is focused on representation, participation, and opportunities for young people and families. Her background includes community engagement, youth-focused initiatives, and she has worked to empower individuals through education, advocacy, and civic involvement. She is particularly committed to ensuring that young voices are included in national conversations and decision-making. In St. Michael Central, Tyra is known for her energy, accessibility, and grassroots engagement. She works closely with residents to understand and respond to everyday challenges. Her leadership reflects a belief that meaningful change begins at the community level and is driven by inclusion and collaboration. She represents a new generation of leadership, grounded in service, connection, and the belief that politics must reflect the lived realities of the people it serves. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the Chase Files today. How are you?
I'm feeling blessed, and thank you for having me.
You are most welcome. Now, during this interview, I want us to get an intimate view of who Tyra really is, because we see you look so well put together. We see this young, beautiful, articulate, you're being dubbed as the political princess.
So large.
Meaning that you have so much potential, but it seems like you were on a mission from a very young age. So tell me, what was life like growing up?
So I come from a diverse background. My mother, she comes from Switzerland. She came to Barbados about 35 or more years ago. She met my dad. And then, you had the typical love story with the European women and the island boys, right? And I was a product of that. That didn't last very long. They did get married, but it didn't last very long. It, quickly grew apart, as oftentimes when a child comes into the picture, it changes the dynamic
of the relationship.
Yes. And then, so as such, I've had to grow up at a very, very young age. My mom, because she comes from Europe, most of our family from her side still lives over there. And then my dad, because he didn't really come around, he didn't take me around. And as such, I didn't get to meet his side of the family until later on in life. So I really only ever had my mother to be that backbone for me, that support system, my rock. But my mother was also very focused on providing, because all of a sudden now she had to be mommy and daddy. So a lot of that cushioning or nurturing wasn't really available to me at a young age. So oftentimes I had to learn for myself, and I had to learn the hard way. And as such, it shaped me to be the strong woman that you see today. But I always tell people that's a defense mechanism, because I know my heart is very, very kind. And oftentimes when you have a kind heart, people abuse it and use it. So I've had to put up this tough exterior to protect myself from that.
I think that people can identify with having to have a defense mechanism to protect yourself growing up, because I'm sure that you would have been exposed to what we would call regular families, friends who have both mommy and daddy, and you would not have had that. And then having to see your mother hold down jobs to support you, it probably put things into perspective from a very young age. So what are some of the challenges, if you care to say, that your mom may have experienced as a single parent?
So it definitely, I found herself having to, and you could see it, she wouldn't say it, but you could see it, where it was, do I work or do I spend more time reading a book with my children or putting them to bed and singing nursery rhymes, those things that mothers typically supposed to do. But for her, I think her priority, and I'm glad it was, in hindsight, was always to make sure that the lights were not ever cut off, we were never hungry, we were never homeless, and, the roof never leaked. And those were her priorities. She took me through school, and she made sure she paid it all cash. So I've never had, I didn't have to have a debt coming out of school. Most people have debt. They have to repay student loans and things like that. I didn't have that. But from a young age, I also saw the burden, and I didn't want to continue to put that burden on my mother. So as soon as I was allowed to, I got a job. So from the age of about 18 years old or a little bit before that, I was working. You know, I worked as a bartender, a waitress, a promotion girl, because those are things that I could do at night that wouldn't basically
Take away from going to school.
Exactly. Because I was at UE. Everybody knows the law program is very demanding. Yeah. So I remember there was a time where we were working Hennessy and the Hennessy show. And it was right before a major exam. And I was like, I needed money. So any day I'm going to do both, right? So I worked in nighttime. I didn't sleep. I caffeinated. And then in the morning, I went straight into my exam. And I got an A.
Wow.
Yeah. And I remember another time, I did not sleep for 72 hours straight. Yeah, because we had exams back to back to back. And I had to crunch what we call crunch in between those days. I didn't sleep. And I think seeing my mother and what a man did to her put a mindset in me that I'm not going to depend on a man ever in life. And as such, I always wanted to empower myself and make sure that I was just a pretty face, right? I actually had something up here as well that would be able to empower me and take me forward without me having to depend on a man's paycheck.
Clock it. So, you know, research has proven that the absence of a father could have profound effects. So we just saw what those effects were, because now you are telling yourself you would never place yourself in a position to have to depend on any male figure for anything. But then how do you navigate having relationships with male, not having a dad around?
It was always hard. And I'll tell you for a couple of reasons. Number one, when you don't grow up with a dad, you find yourself looking for love in all the wrong places. So you end up being with people you have no business being with, right? And I had to learn that the hard way. I think my most recent example would have been my ex, where I actually was physically assaulted. A lot of people don't know that about me, because that's not something I put out there. But I was a survivor of domestic violence. A couple times I almost lost my life too. Right? I don't publicly talk about it. It's probably the first time that I'm publicly speaking about it. But I also grew up watching my mom in the last half of her relationship, because my brother has a different father to me, also be a victim of domestic violence. So I think that was a cycle. Yeah. And they say sometimes it trickles down. Yeah. So I had to break that cycle. So my husband now, he's not violent at all. He's very
Praise God, because you would have the whole of Barbados looking for you.
He's very gentle. He's a gentleman. I mean, he's old school gentleman. Carries my bags. He opens doors. You know, even when I have an attitude, because I can have an attitude, and I'm not a murder person. He's very patient and understanding with me. And I think through him, I've broken that cycle now.
So he's the yin to your yang.
He's the yin to my yang. Very calm and reserved at all times. And then the second thing would be that trust issue. I carry that in every relationship. And my husband, he suffers for it sometimes as well. But I always tell him it's nothing personal. Yes, it's something I need to work on. But it's not personal to you. I mean, I do it with everyone, right? Because it's that vulnerability.
But I think the fact that you're actually cognizant of these are, you know, the little idiosyncrasies that you may have going into relationships, and that you know that you have to work on them.
Yeah.
That you will work on them.
I will work on them.
Yes.
And then sometimes,
and don't let him suffer because of that.
Right. Good. Sometimes too, I can be too strong. And I find men, when they are in a relationship with women that are too dominant, it's a problem. Right?
Do you find yourself having difficulties asking for help?
Yes. I get that from my mom. We never ask for help, but then we get upset when you don't help us.
So you didn't ask for it. So how would the person know that you need help?
We want you to read our minds.
We can't. They can't. People can't. You know, we may see signs, and then the signs may be misinterpreted, and then they still get it wrong. And you know, you're still on the back end of the stick.
Yeah.
Understood. Wow. Well, I think that you pretty much are a credit to your mom. And I think that what you shared so far should be an inspiration to single mothers out there, because it is not easy. And very often there are mothers who face numerous challenges. They may not be as financially savvy. They may not be as academically inclined, but they do know that they want a bright future for their children, and they hustle and they make the sacrifices. And sometimes children are not appreciative of that. So I think that any child or any teen or any young adult watching this episode, and you know that your mother made these sacrifices for you, go and give her a hug, go give her a kiss.
Yeah.
Say thank you. Because it is not easy. I grew up hearing anybody could be a father, but you can only have one mother. That's what I grew up hearing. So there's a level of respect and there's a level of understanding that many people in society should have for single mothers because it isn't an easy task. Now, it told me a little bit about being at UE studying law. Well, what made you decide that you wanted to become a lawyer?
So it's so funny. A few things. Number one, because I'm biracial, my mom's white and my dad's black. I never fully fit in anywhere. I was never black enough or white enough. Right? And because of that, I always stood out. And oftentimes with children, when you stand out, you get picked on, right? You get bullied. People dislike what they don't understand.
Yes.
So growing up, it was weird because I remember going to St. David's Primary School, which is now Blackman and Golub. It was predominantly black.
Yes.
So I remember some people would be like, "Me, I want to play with you. You're a white girl. Me, I want to play with you. Oh, you're trying to be black." Well, going on because my composure, my attitude, or the way I carry myself isn't necessarily white.
Yes.
So people would be confused, like, "Oh, she's trying to be black," but it wasn't that. And then transforming out into because I did class 3 to class 4 in Wills Primary School. Due to the separation between my brother's dad and my mom, it was closer in proximity to school. And as such, we could walk to school rather than her having to pick us up and drop us off. She didn't have time to do that. And right there, it was predominantly white.
Yeah.
And then here I come, my hair isn't completely
Straight enough
or flat enough. And my nose, even though it is
a little
straight, isn't
you still got that little bit of black nose like on the corners.
So you could tell. And then I was a new girl too. So you could tell there, people didn't accept me the way that they probably should have. So, and then going into secondary school now, first form and second form particularly, because I was, pretty, a lot of the older boys, they had a liking for me. And of course, then the older girls didn't like that. So I was often bullied, literally. Like I remember going into the bathroom and seeing my name written all over the walls.
Wow.
Saying all kind of nasty things about me. When I'm walking, people would stand up in my way just so that I would have to walk around. They would steal my items. I remember Valentine's Day, I got roses and a teddy bear and someone stole it. So I see somebody running so with my thing. Let me my taste. And then so third form, I was like, you know what? No more. It's not happening. No more. So from 12, I started watching Suits. And it was like, ooh, this looks powerful. Because remember, I'm feeling powerless.
Yeah.
So automatically, I'll be attracted to something that looks powerful.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to be that. It was that, an FBI agent or a mortician. That's so weird, right? But yeah. But then career day, I went dressed as a lawyer. I didn't know. I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't know I would be that. But that's why I tell you, manifestation is so real.
It is.
And then in secondary school, I just started thinking about it. I was like, what could I do? And I was like, you know what? Let me continue the path of being an attorney at law because that is someone who fights for people's rights. All those bullies out there in whatever form, shape, or fashion, you can deal with them in the court. It's powerful. You're able to be a voice for the voiceless, be a backbone for those who need someone to lean on, and be a hero in a sense. The hero that I often wanted for myself. So I just continued that path and I never looked back. I remained focused. I did what I had to do, whether it was sleepless nights or whatever else. But I made sure to complete my mission. And now I'm an attorney at law today. 5 years called.
Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Your political career started out as a member of the Democratic Labour Party. And you later became the president of the Young Democrats.
I did.
So tell me about that.
So, Ronnie, and I blame Ronnie for this all the time. So, Ronnie was my lecturer at UE.
This is Dr. Yearwood.
Dr. Yearwood, yes. But I call him Ronnie because I knew him so long. And he obviously was the president at the time of the Democratic Labour Party. So contrary to popular belief, I was not a member of the Democratic Labour Party for very long.
Oh, okay.
I was not. Actually, I think I'm a member now of the Barbados Labour Party longer than I was a member of the Democratic Labour Party.
My goodness. Okay. The young people would say, come out, saying.
It didn't last very long, right? I was courting that situation. But Ronnie told me, because I would speak out on public platforms based on the fact that I was an attorney at law. I think my first very public thing was the whole survey with ICBL with the children and how it, infringed certain rights. I came out and I spoke about that. I think it was together with our children. Some organization reached out to me.
This was the ADB survey.
Yes, sorry, IDB.
Yeah, the IDB,
Yeah,
Ministry of Education. Yeah.
And I guess Ronnie saw me on that platform. He contacted me. He was like, Tyra, you would be an excellent candidate. I was like, candidate of what, Ronnie? He was like, of this Democratic Party, I want you to join and I want you to come and, get involved. I was like, Ronnie, no, because I knew of stories where young attorneys joined politics and spoke on a public platform, a public political platform, and then their career suffered. And I was like, I worked too hard, for that just to be taken away from me. So I gave it heavy thought. And then I was like, you know what, Tyra, you've never been a coward. You've never been afraid. Bravery is your thing. What are you doing now? So I said, you know what, Ronnie? Okay, I'll do it. So I started speaking and I never stopped really, because from one platform to the next, I was always called and asked to speak out publicly on certain social issues.
And not only that, you've also visited a number of schools across the island, because I've noticed that you're very actively involved with the youth development as well. So it was always my passion. So then the youth arm at that time was very stagnantly. It wasn't saying anything. Nobody was doing anything. I think for 2 years, they said. And so Ronnie had the glorious idea once again that I should run for president of the Young Dems. And I was like, okay, no problem. Like, I'm here to serve. I'm willing to work. And if my leader is telling me I need to do that, then that's what I'm going to do. But then I put out the video, which was part of the video that went viral, where I was telling persons basically. But were you, hold on a second, because I think there's something that we need to clarify. That you were talking to friends.
That was not that video.
Oh, okay.
I remember there was a splice video with me and my professional. There you go. So the professional video, when I was telling people, I'm a director of this and a thing of this, like, hey, right. That video came out first. And then some dangerous person, I believe it was within the Democratic Labour Party. So then that other video you're talking of, that I posted a long time ago, when I was basically telling my friends, y'all are not supporting me now. So when I make it, don't come around me.
So that is what we need to clarify, because you were in context. You were talking to your friends.
Correct.
But the way that it was presented, it was as though you were talking to
the electorate. And that wasn't even in my mind at the time.
So in context, the reality is the people who did not stick with you when you were struggling.
Exactly.
Oh, you expect to be there when the person raised to the sky. And I can understand that. But again, within context, you were talking to your friends.
To my friends. And I did in the beginning of the video say that to all the women that is calling themselves my friends. But of course, we clipped that part, right? Took it out of context, and I put it together with this other video of me looking professional, speaking professional, to try to once again,
make it seem as though you are a money grabber, only into it for power, or to affiliate with those who are people who can make certain decisions.
So then that went viral, right? Because the person that I was running against didn't want me to become successful.
So even back then, you were a little crap. Okay. There are 23 women contesting this general election. Meanwhile, there are 73 men.
Wow.
Obviously, there's a gender imbalance. I want you to tell me what you think, what are the strategies that could be implemented to encourage more women to become actively involved in politics? But stick a pin in that, because there is a history of ill-treating or being disrespectful to female political figures in Barbados. So how do we address both?
So I think as women, we're not held to the same standard. I think that's where it starts. Because as women, we're all supposed to be perfect. Right? The way we look, the way we talk, the way we carry ourselves, even down to who we are in a relationship with. Right? I remember after my announcement that I would be, I think it was nominee for St. Michael's Section, not even yet candidate. This blog that is ever so famous literally put a PB out there on who my husband is supposed to be.
Are you serious? I didn't see that. Are you serious?
Find her husband. Who's her husband? We need to know about her husband.
Why
are you so concerned? Yeah. What about all the male candidates who have dealt it?
Yes,
right. We don't know who their wives are, most of them. So why does it matter?
Yeah.
Because there's this theory that, oh, women can't think for themselves. When she gets home and her husband tells her to do something, she's going to have to do it. So we want to know who the husband is, because even though she's the leader, is the husband really that going to be making the decision?
I also think that the public believes that when you become a quote-unquote public figure, that your life becomes their lives and that they have a right to know everything about you and that nothing is off limits. How do you feel about that, knowing that no matter what, there will always be somebody maybe prying or looking or spying or just trying to find a little dirt? You know, how do you navigate that?
Me personally, it doesn't bother me, because from a very young age, that was my situation. I told you when I went to secondary school, everybody was up in my business. I had my name right all over the wall. So I was always, and now looking back, I think my early life prepared me for where I am today, because at first it used to bother me. I remember hearing things about myself that were untrue. And I was crying, bawling about it. I was like, this is so unfair. Like, why people keep telling lies on me, making up things about me. People don't like me. Why I do them nothing, all these things. But I had so much of that now it's like I'm numb to it.
Yeah.
So I know everyone's not going to like you.
But most importantly, you know who you are.
Oh, I am.
Right.
And what you see is what you get with me. So that's why I'm never like afraid to be myself. And where I have one of my first tattoos were to thine own self be true. Because I never, in no situation, form, shape, fashion, would I want to change myself to confine myself to what is going on around me, my environment. I will always want to be authentic to who I am, because that's all I have. There's only one Tyra Trotman. So wherever I go, in whatever situation I'm in whatever room I'm in, I'm always me. Of course, I will grow and I will mature. I'm only 30 years old. Me at 30 was not me at 15.
That's right.
And I'm sure me at 45 or 50 is not going to be me at 30. But my core will always remain the same. Yeah.
So to get more women involved into politics, how do we attract someone who may be saying, you know, I can make a difference, but I don't think that I am ready to step into it. I don't think I'm ready for that level of scrutiny.
Yeah.
Or I don't think I am ready to deal with having to fight hard, but then not be on the same level as somebody
else. Yeah. I think we need to create a sisterhood, a fraternity type of thing where persons, women that have been there before and have gone through it, can be the support system for women now coming in and coming up, because it doesn't come with a manual.
So when you enter politics, is there any mentorship?
Well, on the BLP, yes. On the DLP, no.
You were like a fish out of water.
Yeah.
You were left to your own devices.
It was very slim. And I must say, Irene Sanderford Garner, she was probably one of the only that would be that big sister to.
But she really is a genuine person. She's a sweetheart. She's very genuine.
So she and a few others were the only women that would really, come forward and
support.
But then again, they probably were the only women in the Democratic Party anyways. So there's that.
But I mean, we can flash back to, I think, in 2018, Prime Minister Frondell Stewart was left standing alone when the results came in. In 2022, Verla de Pisa was only flanked by two supporters in George Street. So again, where's the support?
Yeah.
You're pretty much on your own.
Pretty much.
That's quite sad. So do you believe that having more women in politics can lead to positive change in society? I think so, but what do you think?
I think so too, because inherently we are nurturers. We may see things from a different perspective because we think with emotions, whereas men are more logical. They're more logical thinking. It's black and white for them, and we see all the gray areas. We're also very caring, and we like to, what's the word I'm looking for? give and take, compromise.
You can compromise.
That's what I'm looking for, compromise. And as such, I think we need that when it comes to global leadership. And I think that's why our Prime Minister has been so successful, because she understands that it's not always a one-fit-all type of policy that's going to work. Yeah, we need to also think about the minorities out there and have something put in place for them.
Or then sometimes too, you may implement a policy and may realize that you have to make some changes. So you have to be strong enough to be able to make those changes while facing the backlash from the public at the same time.
And that comes down to ego, because men are very egotistic. They don't like to admit they're wrong, right? So at the end of the day, that as well. Knowing when to pull back, when to go to the drawing board and come again, all those different things.
All right, so let's take a trip down memory lane. In 2024, prior to the Democratic Labour Party's annual general conference, Steve Blackett, the General Secretary, and the President, Dr. Ronnie Yearwood, were suspended, and then they were later expelled. Now, during the weekend of that annual conference, members on the inside voiced, their displeasure, disagreement to how the proceedings were going, and police were calling. The next day, a number of people were locked out. You were one on the outside of those gates.
Yes.
I really want to know, apart from what we saw or we would have been exposed to in the media, was that the straw that brought the camel's back for you?
Yeah.
Or did that play a major role when it came to deciding when you were going to leave the Democratic Labour Party?
Yeah, that was definitely a straw for me, because I've never been locked out or put out of anything my whole entire life. It was very embarrassing. It was very demeaning. And then it's not only what was done, but it's how it was done, because you had then the members who were not a part of Mr. Dr. Yearwood's faction on the inside taunting you as well. So you're locked out, but they're taunting you like, that's what his jet. So it's like, no, I don't need this, All I was in it for was to try to give Barbados the option of something else. An alternative, a reliable alternative. Not just an opposition for the sake of saying you have an opposition, but people who are actually ready, committed, and willing to serve, willing to do the work, do the research, and put the best foot forward. Because Dr. Yearwood was taking the party in a whole other direction. And I think that's what the Democratic Labour Party needed at that time. But I guess they didn't want it. So my mind was like, I keep fighting with y'all all the time. But really and truly, what I'm trying to do is elevate you. Because nobody cared about the Democratic Labour Party anymore. It was like dying, right? And the odd talks about the last decade. So we were trying to bring life back into this institution. And then the very same members of the institution are fighting you. So it's like, well, what's the point? I don't need this, right? And then, like I said, y'all disgrace me, disrespecting me, all kind of thing. I said, I dealt with this. But not only that, when I started to hear about Ronnie and Steve and all them being expelled, in my mind, I was like, well, I might be next. And I would die.
Not give them the opportunity to do that.
Before I let them take away my dignity like that.
Whew. Wow. I mean, nobody should be treated that way.
No, poor Miss Mapp. Poor Miss Mapp.
Poor Miss Mapp. But having said that, few months after, you caused quite a stir. Then you showed up in that red bedazzled gown at the Barbados Labour Party's General Conference. And you were warmly welcomed by Prime Minister Mia Mottley and members. Front page news, center page news, all over social media. What did that feel like?
Yeah, it felt great. But how I got there, a lot of people don't know how I got there.
No, let's know how you got there.
So I joined the competition because it was fake. Say it is my thing. And that was the second year that I had actually did the competition. The first time around, I didn't even know it was a BLP competition. I just, I pulled up at a bar and they were singing. I heard it was a competition. I said, well, I want to join. And then I didn't make it very far. But the second time around, I made it all the way to the finals. So that is how I ended up at the conference, because finals are at conference. And I was actually going to wear white at first, But you know what? Maybe we're right. I love petting. Yes. Because in these semi-finals, right? Since at that time I had already resigned. I was not a member of the Democratic Labour Party anymore. But at these semi-finals when I had on the black dress, since and I was saying, someone screenshot a group chat, with I will not name them, but a certain senior counsel saying, "Oh my goodness, she sound bad. She this, she that. That she trying to sing for her supper, all kind of nasty things, right?" So I said, you know what? I petty. I said, "You want to top? They ain't giving a sign a top out." So I changed my outfit from white to red. I mean, I bought a red dress. I said, "This gonna kill them. This gonna sour them, right?" And it was a
It was a hit. But I think what people don't know is that you were actually a recording artist.
Yeah.
A recording artist.
Yeah.
You used to be managed by George Thomas at some point.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I know for sure that you have, I think, at least about 5 or 6 songs recorded up on YouTube. Yeah. For people who don't know, you can go and check out Ty Blue Music because she can actually sing and sing quite well. So after all that, you took the media by storm. Obviously, the rumors were going around. She joined the party, but you did not join the party at that point. So take me up to the point where you officially became a member.
So after that same finals at the conference, what made me, that was like my decision. It was other things, like, people approached me and were like, you should join the party, you should join the party. I was like, I don't know, I know Barbados are not particularly keen with people who cross over, right? And I was like, oh, I can't catch a break, y'all just drag me through. Yeah. I don't want to be dragged again, right? But the reception at that conference, I was embraced. I mean, and for somebody who criticized the Barbados Labour Party publicly, for there still to be so much love, I was almost shocked.
But here's the thing, for me, the criticism was constructive.
Yes, it was.
And I think what you did was that you opened the doorway for a lot of people 30 and under to pay attention to the social events and the political activities that are happening in the country. So you had people on your page asking you questions and you were answering. So whereas they may have not known certain things, you were using that as a teachable moment to educate people. And that was good. So I wouldn't necessarily say that, you're dissing the BLP, blah, blah, blah.
It was never personal.
It wasn't personal.
It was always about policy.
Yeah,
because at the end of the day, you need checks and balance.
Checks and balance.
And that was it for me. Like you as the Prime Minister always says, we're not perfect. So sometimes you need that voice to say, like, you better look at that again because that ain't making much sense. Or maybe you should reword it because as a lawyer, from my legal eyes, if I was to argue a case with that loophole, this is the damage that could be done. So that's all I was trying to do. But some people took it personal, right? Which is, everyone is entitled to their feelings. But what I'm saying is, even though I did that, I was still received because I compared that with when I criticized RAT and criticized my competition. It's like my consensual. Because, I was locked out. I remember he, meaning the one day Fluffy, right? He told them, plug out her microphone.
Are you serious?
Yeah, but wait, I can't wait to get up on the stage again. But he can't plug out my microphone. He can't plug it. Oh my God. He has to hear what I have to say, right? So comparing the two situations, I was like, no, this to me is a better environment. In this environment, I can grow because I can tell you I don't agree with something and then don't have to fear about repercussions. I can come and I'm welcomed. There's so many women in that party that have embraced me since then and have given me advice, whether it's personal or political. And I just felt more at home. And I said, you know what? I've started this journey. I'm never really one to quit, give up, or walk away. I didn't want to do that. I was forced to do that with the Democratic Labour Party, but I still wanted to serve the people. So why not? Why not join another institution that serves the people of Barbados? So I always tell people, for me, it isn't about party. It's about people. I know people.
And service.
People out there, they're very loyal to party, but for me, it's loyalty to people. And that is why even though I crossed the floor, quote unquote, I never left the people of St. Michael Central. I was there as a D, I was there as an independent, and now I'm here as a P.
Well, that's interesting because I was just about to ask you if you had always earmarked St. Michael Central as the area that you wanted to canvass or become the candidate for, because you were working in that constituency for well over a year prior to being nominated. So tell me about that.
So I went to school at Commonwealth. It's my alma mater. And as such, I was like, I'm connected to St. Michael Central through the school. I'm also connected to Christchurch South because that's where I grew up. But sometimes they say you're not a king in your own home. So in my mind, I was like, and then traditionally, it's a red seat. Right? So obviously, you want to serve, but you want to serve where the end goal is you'll be put in a situation or position where you can serve even better. So what's the point of, I mean, maybe it's strategic, but what's the point of putting up yourself in a constituency where you know at the end of the day, you're not going to win? So it's like you're wasting everybody's time, really and truly, because you want to be put in a position where you really can
make a difference.
Yes. Where you have, the resources to make a difference, the connections to make a difference, and that your voice will really count. Because at the end of the day, if you're part of parliament, you have the vote, the veto, right? So that's what I wanted. So I said, you know what, out of the two, I think St. Michael Central might be my best bet. And I planted my feet, and I've never...
Did you tell anyone? Did you go to Arthur? Did you go to anyone? Or did you just start on your own?
So when I started as a Democratic Labour Party, I would have went to Steve. Because Steve would have been the representative back then. And Steve, gave me his blessing. I see he gives somebody else his blessing though. But Mr. Blackett gave me his blessing. He was more than happy to hear that I wanted to serve in that area. And as such, then he would have connected me to Timothy Small and Sherfine Howell, who were the top canvassers for the Democratic Labour Party, who, by the way, are now BLP. So I stole them, right? And we just started to work. And then when I crossed the floor, I had a conversation with Mr. Holder first, because I will never be that person that would want you to feel that I'm doing something behind your back or trying to cut your throat or anything like that. So I had a conversation with the Speaker of the House. I said, I've been doing all this work in St. Michael Central. I've already connected with people, made certain commitments to them, and I don't want to walk away or just stop doing things because I'm no longer vying to be a candidate. Can I, with your blessing, continue to do the work in the community and, do what I said I would do, basically? He said, of course. He was more than happy.
Wow.
More than happy. So I ended up being his feet, his eyes, and his ears, because obviously he's senior counsel. He was Speaker of the House, constantly having to travel to different... We've got him. Yes. So I said, I'll be the body, right? And I took the information that the constituents were telling me, the various concerns or issues, and I would bring them back to him. And then he, with the power, would then make things happen. So that's how we worked together. And then there came a time where we had a conversation, where he was thinking about, stepping down. And it was, close to nomination time. And so he made his public announcement when he was ready, and I became nominee. And then here comes Dr. Holder. So I had to battle that too, which was fine, because I said, if anything, it will give me the confidence to know that the people are with me.
And that you earned it.
And that I earned it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's great. Wow. So basically then, you were embraced, welcomed with open arms, and so far the experience has been a memorable one. No regrets.
No regrets.
That's the most important part. What are your plans for St. Michael Central?
So through my canvassing and through me speaking with the people of St. Michael Central, I formulated an umbrella initiative. And I wanted to do that because I find sometimes leaders, they have their own vision and then they kind of mandate that vision onto the people. I didn't want that. I wanted to hear the people first and then formulate something based on the information they were giving me. So with that, I've created the Hold Firm initiative.
Hold Firm.
Hold Firm, but spelled FERN because it's an acronym. But I like Hold Firm because with many people that are going through troubling times, you want them to hold firm. You want someone to be there to say, listen, don't give up. Let me keep moving. Keep your eye on the prize. we can do this together. And that's why my slogan also is together with Tyra. Correct. So F, faith and family. Faith, because I realized a lot of young people now are straying away from God. And when I was growing up at Commerce School, we would have our morning assembly. And I'm being told that's not a thing anymore. We've taken morning assembly out of certain schools because of different religious reasons, right? But I want to be able to work closely with the churches in our community, St. Michael Central, where we can create programs that will target the young people and we'll wrap it up in a creative way that makes it attractive. Because sometimes when you bring out the Bible, people might run, right? But we want to be able to ground them, because when you have that connection with God, and I experienced this myself, you become more calm. You know that at the end of the day, everything was designed perfectly for you. And once you have that understanding, you don't panic anymore, because it's in God's hands. I kept telling people, even during the nomination, it's a good luck. I don't need the luck, because it's in God's hands. If it's for me, I will receive it. I will receive it. Yeah. So I want to bring that back into the community, to give them a moral compass to know what is right from wrong. That's very important. It takes you through your entire life. The golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And that's what I live by. And then family. My background, my legal background, and also my personal background would show that oftentimes two parents, when they're no longer together under one roof, they use the child as a weapon, right? It's back and forth. It's like a tug of war. And as a child growing up, you're disenfranchised, because it's like, why ain't having a relationship with my daddy because my mommy didn't like you, or vice versa. And that should not be so, because a child needs both parents. I can't stress it enough. You need, especially male children, they need their fathers. A man can only teach a man how to be a man. And I know there's some women out there that would disagree.
But the reality is that boys need positive male figures.
Yeah, because it's the vibrations. I could get real deep with, but it's the vibrations. Men vibrate on a spiritual level differently to women. So it's just certain things you would need. And then also parent and child, because there are a lot of broken down relationships between parents and children, where children feel as though they can't approach their parents with certain issues. So they look elsewhere, the big man on the block, rather than their father or their mother. And they end up in things that they don't want to end up in. Because at the end of the day, when the big man on the block put money in your pocket for all his years, and they feel loyal, and they turn and tell you I need you and I want you to, you have to go. You have to do it, right? So we want to bring counseling services into the constituency, both partnering with the private sector and the government of Barbados, to have those facilities and resources and institutions ready and available for the young people and the elderly too, because a lot of people over 40 carry trauma that they would have experienced from a young age into their adult life, and then it manifests into violent outbursts. And that's crime, man. That's crime. That then, whether it's the domestic violence, the shootings, the child abuse, the stabbings, I say all of it comes from things that we would have experienced.
So we really have to look at the root causes.
Exactly. And then E is for education and empowerment. So I want to be able to bring different programs into the constituency where I would have lessons. Right now, lessons can range between $75 to $100 or $150, depending on what the situation is. And when a parent has to choose between $75 in grocery food, versus $75 in lessons, it's like, I can buy the groceries. And then unfortunately, your child will fall behind. Because when you have a classroom of 30 plus children, a teacher, you would know, you're going to slow down the whole class for 5 or 1 or 2. So then you get left behind and you fall through the cracks, and then you end up leaving primary school not knowing how to read and write properly.
And then going into secondary school, not being able to function.
And not getting your CICs, and then you end up now in the world of work and nobody wants to hire you because you don't have the accreditation to do so, right? There's that. And then the empowerment. So the empowerment now comes where I want to work closely with the small businesses in St. Michael, because it's not about the big boy, it's about the small fish too. Because oftentimes we have to start small before we become these big, powerful entities. So I want to work with them, whether it's financial support, whether it's promotion. I have about over 11,000 followers on my Instagram, so I'll be promoting the different businesses and the services. I saw in our manifesto. We have a new website. I'm trying to remember the name, but the website, I think it is the blp.gov.bb. Yes, where we'll be able to promote. I also saw a new name of the website as well. But look in the manifesto where we will take all these small businesses, these services and stuff, and put it on a website in Barbados where you can now go on to see what's being offered in your area. Because oftentimes it's not that we don't have the product, is that people don't know about the product. So we need to start advertising, promoting, and marketing the small businesses in our various constituencies. And then also I have rehabilitation and reform. I want to work closely with the Barbados Police Service to help, they would know who the troublemakers are. Even if you haven't been formally criminally charged, they would know who they get the phone calls about. So I want to be able to reach those persons before you even get a charge and find out what's the issue. Because oftentimes we point fingers, but we don't take the time to find out why. Why are you acting this way? What's the problem? What do you need? Do you need help? Do you need guidance? Do you need support? That's sometimes all a person needs to show them a different way, a different light. Because sometimes when you grow up and certain things is all you know, you end up falling into that trap. So you want to show you a different way and a better life. And then we would have the M, which is movement, mental health, and music. Movement is all about sports. Need to bring sports back into the community. Various tournaments, whether it's football, cricket, road tennis. I heard now we get here squash and where's badminton. So, and swimming, I heard we're getting new public pools. That is something I always wondered about, how do we live on an island and 70% or more of our population does not know how
Fear. The sea ain't got a back door.
Oh, that's great. No.
Fear.
Oh, yeah, all those things. And then obviously movement, the sports, it can translate into a career where you make a lot. I know the cricketers just get a lot of money. There's a lot of money in their contracts that then you're able to provide for your family. And as a man, when you are even a woman, when you can provide, it builds self-confidence. And as such, you live your life a different way, right? And then also movement, because we have a lot of NCDs, right, that we need to tackle. And as such, we want to bring that healthy living and healthy lifestyle into the community. So even if you're not interested, in sports from a professional standpoint,
walk around the pasture and
jog a little bit, walk-up sessions with spinning, all those things to bring movement into the community. And then we're not leaving out our elderly. I know a lot of old men like to say, play cards, dominoes, or even backgammon. Those type of tournaments I want to bring into the community. Yes. And then music is, my first love. And there are a lot of talented people out there, a lot of talented Barbadians that just need
the exposure.
or the opportunity to create. So I want to work closely with the Barbados Community College as well as the Commonwealth School, who already have established music programs, to see if we can get some of the constituents who may not be going to school anymore into those programs where we can get a space to create and share and promote our arts. And then mental health, it all comes down to the brain and mind. The mind is our most powerful tool. I can't stress it enough. What you think is what you manifest. What you think. If you think negative all day long, you're going to attract fear negativity.
That's true.
So we need to get our minds right. Think positive. Because as Bajans, every little stomach in or stomach in, we run into the doctor. But when we're not feeling quite ourselves, we don't go to someone, we don't go to psychologists or therapists or counselors.
Because there's a stigma attached.
There is a stigma. And I want to work to get that stigma away. But there's nothing wrong with saying, I am not well. I am not okay. I need help. Nothing wrong with it. Because if you don't take care of up here, what ends up happening is the suicides, the homicides, the self-doubt, the self-confidence, the walking around and everything is a problem.
And it's interesting that you say that, because even in secondary schools, from my experience, we have students who self-harm. They use the cuts, the burns, so it is something that we really have to address. Now, you have some ambitious plans, and I'm sure that this will be spread out over a 5-year term. How do you intend to hold yourself accountable for the promises that you have made to the constituents?
So one of the things that I'm going to do as well is create a council. I've already talk to the constituents about it. This council will consist of persons from every sort. My constituency has 9 polling districts. So it will consist of 9 heads from each district. But then under that as well, they will have their mini councils where we will break it down into streets. So every district head will have persons from each street, and we will meet, whether it is every month or every 3 months, depending on my schedule. I don't know that yet, but we will meet ever so often that I can continue to hear the concerns. So not just them and address them. So not just wait until the election and they're canvassing, trying to canvass.
And then you disappear after the vote.
But I want to stay connected. I've also started giving out my cell phone number to my constituents because I don't believe that y'all should have to leave your home to come to my office to speak to me. You can take up the phone, call me, or message me. Because I may not be always able to answer the call, but for sure, if you send me a message, I will respond when I can. So I just want to stay connected, always be connected, always be in the constituency. And I think Kurt Humphrey and the Prime Minister, they're my role models when it comes to that. Because they're always in their constituencies. The people love them. And that's why when elections come, they may go fight up too much. Because the people know what they are getting with their current representatives. And so they will continue to put them back. So for me, this ain't about a 4-year and a 5-year. Because I'm young. This is about 10, 15, 20 years of commitment.
You are in it for the long haul.
I'm in it for the long haul. As I say, I'm not one to walk away or quit or just disappear. Something very drastic would need to happen. I mean, I fell down on stage the other day and I'm still here. I'm still here. So yeah, stay connected.
Stay connected. Now, your campaign slogan is Together with Tyra. And this is my last task for you during this interview. I want you to tell the members of the constituency, because I think in addition to dealing with voter apathy, there is a lack of trust that members of the public have as it relates to politicians. We hear all I want is the same, all I want is friends, all I want is their lives. Why should we vote? Why should we trust you now with our future? So why should your constituents trust you with their future?
So first off, I want to say that I understand. I understand the apathy because I can't fault you for it. I too was somewhat frustrated, feeling as though my representative, I'm from Christchurch, so I don't need to say anything now, right? That my representative wasn't hearing me. So I know what it feels like. And because I know what it feels like firsthand, I wanted to not only be someone to complain, but to do something about it. Be the difference. I've never been there before. I'm new. I have a clean track record. Yeah, so give me a chance. That's all I'm asking for, a chance. Because at the end of the day, you wouldn't know whether it's yay or nay unless you give me that chance. And I'm telling you, my word is my bond. I always canvass. When I canvass, I always tell people, I don't promise nothing that I cannot uphold because my word is my bond. But what I promise always is to be a representative for you. You will have a representative in me. I will be your voice and I will be your fighting instrument. Trust and believe. Anybody that knows me knows I put up a good fight. So you will never be disappointed in that regard. Will I be able to do everything? Of course not. I'm only human. It's almost 7,000 of you and it's one me. So it's not going to happen overnight. And that's what I'm saying. It's about the long haul for me. You know, every day I'm going to hold myself accountable, my team. I've made sure that I surrounded myself with persons who can tell me about myself because I don't want just people around me. I want people there that will hold me accountable. I said, Tyra, last week you said this and it still ain't due yet. Try to get it done. That is what I want around me. And trust and believe when I say something, it's going to happen. By the hook or the crook, it's going to happen. So vote for me because I'm just like you. You know, I know your pain. I know your struggles. And I'm willing to make a difference and to do something about it.
And on that note, I want to say sincere gratitude to Ms. Tyra Trotman for being my guest on the Chase Files. Until next time, I'm Stephanie Chase.